What's up, Ray?
Hello, Steven.
What's going on, man? What are you up to? You look busy.
I'm fucking tired, man.
Yeah, we were, I was having insomnia last night, too. And you said you stayed up quite a bit longer, and I think we wrapped it at like 1:30.
I was easily up till 3, past it, because I was looking at stuff. I was looking at artists. I was watching YouTube videos. I was just like in, I don't know if it's NFT hell or heaven, but like I was just like stoked on it and just like couldn't stop thinking about it. So I was just like, I was all over the place and just like, you know, it's like when that happens, like you just like hit the tiniest little piece of inspiration with anything, and you're just like, all right, go, and like your brain is just like go, and like it's like no, we're not going to bed right now. Go,
dude,
get your
ass
up.
That. There are times where I know I'm about to fall asleep because I recognize whenever I get the jolt and I wake up completely and I go, no, we're cool. Go back to sleep. And my brain goes, no, you're up. And I try to lay there. Like last night, I started texting you back, I think at probably 12:30 or 1, because I tried to go to sleep at a normal time. I've gotten really out of my rhythm, and I've been going to bed pretty late. But I was halfway asleep, and then I just had an idea and my brain went off. I tried to stop, just tried to like lay there in the dark. And finally I was just like, I think it's the worst move typically, but I was like, I just have to get up. So I just got up, went into the living room, and then I saw you make a comment on Instagram on something, and I was like, oh, Ray's up. So I sent you a text, and then that didn't help either one of us, I don't think.
No,
we it wasn't chatting for another.
It wasn't gonna
hour.
help me. Literally, the dogs were asleep, all the kids and my wife were asleep. Like everyone was just like snoring around me, and I was like, I could have went and run some laps or something. Like I was that awake, and like I'd literally, it was one of those things where I had to be like, turn everything off, put a pillow over my face, and I was like,
suffocate yourself,
go to sleep. Yes, just die or fall asleep, one or the other. You know.
I'll try to do that. My brain, I'll do this thing where I like kind of pretend like I'm like, oh yeah, I'm still tired. But really I'm like, no, I'm pretty much completely awake.
I have to this is totally, I know we're going so deep into this, but like, I literally like the way that I figured out how to fall asleep is if I start making up a story in my head and I start visualizing it in my head. So I close my eyes and I start thinking about like, oh, what if that was like that? And I went to that place, and like I start seeing it. And then like, it's like, I'm almost like pre-making a dream for myself, you know? And like, that's how I've like trained myself to like fall asleep when I like, so that's what I was doing last night. It worked, but it was too late.
3 a.m. plus.
Yeah. And then they get up at 6. So it was like,
lovely.
I basically just took a nap.
Well, you don't look like total shit right now. So
thank you.
Plus. Yeah. Well, hey dude, let's jump in here. Dude, I think we got a lot of cool stuff to talk about. And I'll quit clicking my pen because I'm sure that sounds lovely.
Well, you yelled at me for hitting my desk, so I'm going to yell at you for clicking your pen.
We did, and there's a piece you left over here that goes to your microphone that's going to help fix that, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah? Little spitter thing.
So, well, dude, first off, dude, I've been designing again, and it feels fucking great. Like I started, so I haven't designed since, I say that. I'll jump in and do stuff sometimes, but it's not like I'm really doing a project or starting from scratch or anything like that. And really, it's usually just like fixing something because, one of my designers would be busy on another project and a client sees this like error or has a critical change or whatever. And I'd jump in and struggle through it or whatever with new design tools. But, dude, it's been awesome. I've been getting into Figma, which I haven't used really at all. And I know that's like the big popular tool now, but I've just been doing management for I don't know, many years now. But, dude, I'm loving it, man. It feels good when I can block time and get into the zone. It's been nice, man. I'm learning how to use these tools. There's some really I mean, back when Sketch was awesome when it came out, and I just, and that's where I kind of ended most of my design days, was using Sketch. But like Figma's pretty cool. All my designers, like almost 100%, were like, "Can we please start using Figma?" And I'm like, "Man, I don't care." And even Sketch and Envision reps came in, and they're like, "How's everything going?" Like, they were trying to like butter me up, and I just told them, I was like, "Hey, just so you know, like, I don't care. Like, I used to be a fan. I use the tools. I like the Envision like community stuff, like all the stuff they put out. And I think it's well designed and there's some great stuff." But I just told them, I was like, all my designers want to use Figma. I was like, so that's your competition. And they pretty much make the decision. But anyway, I wanted to check it out because there's, this is like old news for everybody listening probably. But anyway, it's pretty cool, man. And there's just, the way it works is pretty interesting. Like things that you can tell it's been developed in close collaboration with actual designers, because the way things work is just not like, how you get used to how a tool works because that's how it works. So many things, and I was trying to think of an example earlier, which never works for me to think of something for the show, but like, there's certain things, there's a lot of things in there that just work the way you would kind of want them to, but tools never work that way. And I just accidentally started stumbling across things. I'm like, oh, no tool works that way. So anyway,
no, it's interesting.
Hopefully they'll sponsor us or something now.
Yeah. No, I've been wanting to try Figma. I mean, we played with it a little bit, but I was the opposite. My team wanted to use Sketch. I actually love XD from Adobe.
Yeah.
Like I know everyone, it's like you love it or hate it, but like I don't know if I'm just like grew up with so much Adobe that it's just like in my blood. But when they came out with that, like I followed it from when it was called like Recess, when it was like a pet project, and then it like turned into actual product. It just flows for me. But my team wanted to use Sketch. They love Sketch. They're like all in it, like build plugins and like do all kinds of crazy stuff with it. So we stayed with Sketch.
Yeah, that's right.
But we played with Figma for a minute, and my team was just like, I like Sketch. I love Sketch. We're all in on Sketch. So I'm like, yeah, I'm with you. I'm like, whatever you guys want. I don't care. Whatever gets the shit done. I don't care what tool we use, And so that's kind of how
well, then there's the, we've gone, my previous company, we went through the whole like client scenario. Clients make you use things sometimes, within reason, obviously. But it was like back in the day when we were trying to move over to Sketch, and they're like, well, we still use Photoshop. And you're like, Jesus, come on. And then now everybody's all jazzed about Figma. And now these are like the corporate clients finally are like on the Sketch and Envision bandwagon. And you're like, okay, cool. Well, we'll stay a few years behind to, help you out there.
I think this topic kind of goes with one of the things you wrote on here about a 40-hour work week versus just getting shit done.
Well, dude, let's just jump in.
I think that because it's like, I think we both have the same kind of attitude of like, I mean, for me anyway, like I've always had my own thing. Like we've talked about it before, where it's like, I work nights. That used to be my thing. If you want me to knock shit out and do badass work, let me work at night. You can stay up in day.
Well,
it doesn't matter.
Were you still working 40 hours?
No.
But you were kind of doing your own thing, though.
I know. This is obviously different, and like I'll give both sides. So when I had my own agency, I worked. I don't think I worked 40 hours, maybe 20.
Yeah.
But I feel like too, like you reach a certain point where you're fast. Like you can do quality work. It doesn't take a full day to do a mock. You could like knock out a whole site in a day if you put your stuff together right and like have a good kind of flow. And I was at that point, so it's like I could knock out a full day's worth of work in 3 hours at night. So I'd wait till everybody go to bed at 10. I'd stay up till like 1 or 2, and like that was my full day of work.
So
but it's also condensed though. Like, it's not like come in, have some coffee, hang out, bullshit. Like, oh, we're going to work for a minute. All right, now it's time for lunch. And then it's like, and in a normal work office, you're going to do 3 or 4 hours a day because everything else is kind of bullshit the rest of the day. So
I want to make the argument that gets made, which is not my argument because I have an argument against it. But a lot of times you'll hear people say, well, dude, if you could get that much done in a half day, then like imagine how much you could get done in a full day, which logically you're like, oh yeah. But like, dude, there's a point of diminishing return when you just continue to like crank, especially when you get into the zone and you're just like, you know, pumping out work and it's, you know, good. And you're getting shit done. I don't know about you, but like when I get into that mode, once I kind of get out, I kind of go like, oh man, like it's like I just ran like a 5K or something. And now I'm like, I need to chill. And if I try to push myself through it further, like I could spend another 4 hours and get like 10 minutes worth of work done. Where in the first 4 hours, I may have gotten 10 hours worth of work or whatever of output. You know?
I'm glad you brought up the zone thing, because when people say that, then to me, that's literally what I tell them. I'm like, okay, let's break this down. Like what you are referring to and thinking that you know about is the brain. And like you've been told your whole life for 100 years that multitasking is a thing, but it's bullshit. And it takes like 15, sometimes longer for some people to get into this tunnel vision zone, right? To where, all right, nothing else matters. I got my music going. I'm in it. I know what I'm trying to do. I got ideas going, right? And the second that somebody disturbs you, or there's a Slack message, or there's something, or somebody comes over to ask you a question, you start over. And now it takes another 15 minutes to get back into that.
Well,
it's not like you
can't
can just
even
jump,
get back into
or you can't get back. Exactly. And so all that 8 hours, the majority of it is dealing with all of the people that fuck with you for meetings, for whatever, to get back into a zone that you could work for 20 minutes and then 30 minutes and then whatever. So really you got 3 hours worth of work done. You know, or you bring in like the stuff I was talking about before, where it's like, well, there's lunch, then we're going to get coffee, and then there's meetings, and there's all this. Like, yes,
fucking
I could
meetings.
knock out stuff like crazy if you just leave me alone, you know?
I had a client a few years back that they like to have a single 3-hour meeting every day. And I came in, and I actually came in because my design team was fully booked, and this client was basically, they wanted it to start earlier, and I had scheduled out the team to start at a certain time. And they're like, oh, don't worry, we've got some other agencies we'll talk to work on this other stuff. And I was like, that's the last thing I want is another, you know, group of designers in there with us that want the work that we, you know, want, and we already want it, but you know, sometimes people just find reasons to shit on you because they're like, yeah, they suck. We should do this.
Yep.
And I was like, I don't want that. So I was like, hey, guess what? You get me. So I worked it out with my, you know, my executive team. I was like, guys, I've got to work full days on this. So like, I can't be meeting all the time. So anyway, I go in there and they basically were like, yeah, so we're going to, you know, go ahead and invite you to our daily meeting. And I was like, oh, okay. Like a stand up. And they're like, no, we meet from, I can't remember. It was like 9 to noon. And I was like, 3 hours? And they're like, yeah, but we get a lot done. And I was like, okay. I went in, sat in on the first one. They just went in circles talking about the same shit. They couldn't make decisions, which isn't uncommon. But the reason they couldn't make decisions is because nobody was actually getting any work done. They were just hypothetically talking about all the decisions all the work they could do. And so I told the lady that was, you know, kind of my point of contact. I was like, hey, so I'm not going to come to these meetings every day. Okay. She was like, well, why not? I said, well, here's the thing. Like you have 3-hour meetings 5 days a week. That's 15 hours. That's 15 hours that I can definitely bill you to sit in there with, to set with you in there. And, if that's really what you need, or I could almost double the amount of work I can get done for you every week. and I'll come in and I'll demo it, and we'll still have meetings. You'll get to see things getting done and see why we made those decisions, and you can give feedback, and you can talk about them in those meetings. And I think it dawned on her that, I don't know, she was like, oh, okay. And then, yeah, I never went to those meetings, but I would see them go into this office every day and spend 3 hours in there, and they would come out, and I kind of got to a point where I knew what was going on every day. Not much ever got figured out. It was crazy.
It's like people need a spreadsheet or something, right? To like, hold on, let me actually show you what's happening in this.
Yeah,
let me
let me
show
do some
you
math in here.
everyone's salary. Let me show you
my
how
God.
expensive
Imagine.
this meeting is.
Oh my
And
God.
like, imagine that just like on the TV screen in all the board meetings like that you're in for all that time, and you just see the number, the dollar number going up. You know, like
That would be kind of incredible.
we
Because
should- we
these
should
were
make
all
that
like,
app.
these were all like, upper level management to exec level people in here. And, yeah, that'd be the most expensive meeting times 5 times
I want to
fucking
make that.
52.
Imagine all you need is like calendar access, like, and obviously you need to know how much people make, or at least a range, right? And then you
Yeah.
could like look at the calendars, put that in, and then you just make like a cool little counting app that just like shows you how much each meeting. Oh, dude,
Yeah.
that'd be badass. We need to make that.
Oh, and then there's a weekly summary at the end of the week. Like, here's how much money you spent in meetings this week.
I love it. No, and then you just go straight to the CEO.
Well, we went kind of down a rabbit hole. Well, so before I actually jumped into that project, because you were talking about the zone, and you remember my previous life where it was just meetings all the time, and but every once in a while I'd have an hour, occasionally, and I mean I like designing, and I like getting in and fucking with the tools and just exploring and experimenting. And so sometimes I would have an idea and I'd say, well, shit, I'm going to spend this hour and I'm going to try to just crank some shit out. But that getting into the zone part of it, dude, like probably at least 20 minutes. I mean, something like that, because then I
go
would
ahead.
work very briefly and it would be like, the hour was already over. I would see my calendar and I was probably late for a meeting and I barely gotten started with anything. Now, the thing is, I thought I couldn't design anymore. I was like, dude, I suck now. But when I gave myself like those full days, like I told you, I met with my team and I said, hey guys, I have to have full days. So they took on some of the management tasks or whatever. And I got full days and man, I could still design. It made me so happy because I thought I was like, I think I've lost it. I haven't used it.
So I'm curious because there's lots of like people that have their tips and tricks and stuff. Like, do you do something to get into the zone? Like, do you have like certain things that you do?
Well, I think my things are pretty basic. I mean, I just pump music.
What
And-
kind of music? Is it like, is it specific? Is it random? Is it like whatever? Like get into the details. Like I'm super curious.
Well, I'm kind of all over the place with music, as you know. I'm not like a huge. I mean, usually it's like fucking 90s hip hop, but it can't be like, there's like the couple of versions of 90s hip hop. It can't be that the bummer shit, which what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, totally.
It's like life's hard shit.
Yeah.
Can't do that. But there's some music. It's got to be kind of. I mean, I'll do like jazz sometimes. Again, it can't be like loungy jazz. But there's a lot of cool shit. It's just like, and I
Yeah.
feel like I'm like, yeah,
Got to be alive. That was good trumpet, man. I like that.
thanks, bro. Yeah. But then sometimes I'm not a major like metal dude, but there's some heavy metal bands that I can jam and get that going in my head. And I'm not. I mean, it like puts me in rage mode, but it's like rage work mode. So I don't know that a specific music, but it has to be, have good tempo. It has to be like something I would want to like run or jog to or something or fight to. Can't be too chill. Like there's like a lot of that down tempo stuff or whatever. If you get me in, listening to that, I probably just want to.
Well, I
get stoned and hang
asked
out.
because I always think of Matt Mullenweg, You know, like the guy from WordPress.
I think I know what you're about to
And
say.
like he's got this whole thing where it's like he listens to the exact same
One
song.
I've used that.
On
I've used that
repeat.
technique.
And it's like, it's so you brought up about Anthony about like taking your shoes off, like when you work at home,
Yeah.
you like feel it's like, that's his song that tells his brain that it's time to work. Right. And,
so
like,
it's actually just one song.
it's one song on repeat. As the way I remember it is it's one song
Okay.
on repeat that is just like, it's not meant to be the song. It's meant to be the white noise that tells his brain to trigger to like,
Right.
this is work time. This is like
I remember
the sound
part of
you hear.
him. I remember part of him talking about that was that if it was a new song, then he would like listen to it, and that would be distracting.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, I can't listen to podcasts for sure,
Oh, 100%.
but I have done that technique. I think I probably heard he's probably talked about it more than once, but I've heard him talk about that, and it kind of works. But what I did was I found 3 songs and I just put those songs on loop. But I didn't do the same song every time I would work. I would pick some songs, but I would listen to those that full day or that full work session. And
So-
it kind of works actually.
So two things. Because one, I have a Matt Mullenweg story, but before that, what I am with you. I listen to 90s. Like I want to feel like I'm at the club. Like I need to be like I want to like, you know, like dance around like
Hip-hop.
so like as loud as possible. Like I have over ear headphones, noise canceling. I want to hear nothing else. And I need something playing video. It's so weird that I would have something that's distracting, but like I've done this forever.
Oh,
like
interesting.
back in the day when there was the Travel Channel and they would just like show like tropical islands and the best beaches and blah, blah, blah. That was always on the TV while I was working.
I don't know how you cannot look at that.
No, it's part of it. I do look at it. It's almost like it, you know how like when you're talking, you take like a pause to like get breath. For me, I'd be like working and be like working and be like working and be like, and then like working. You know what I mean? Like it was like my brain pause
Okay, so
to
here's
like
what I
look
would
off
do.
on something.
I would look at that beach and I would wonder where that beach was and I would start looking and then I would start Googling that beach. 2 hours later, I would be looking at like houses in that city where that beach is. Then I don't know, dude. That would not work for me.
I know it's weird. That's what I'm curious. Like I feel like everybody has their own little hack for themselves, and it takes a long
was a
time to
time-
figure it out.
So pretty much it's music, coffee, and there was a period of time where I was, pumping the Adderall. And so I was just like, now there's nobody should do anything that we're talking about. But what I found when I was taking Adderall is it's just a little bit kind of gets you like where it's like maybe you had 3 cups of coffee or something. I don't know. But I would be like, yeah, this is good. I would take more. And then my brain would be like, okay, I would be looking I would be the mega goldfish, the goldfish on crack at that point. I was
no,
like, wait a minute.
I'm
Now I'm not
with
getting
you.
anything done.
I'm with you. No, and for me, what Adderall would do is like I just forget about everything, right? But like forget about everything else, right? Like
Kids
I'm
are
like,
Dad,
yeah, they're like, we haven't eaten in like 6 hours. We're so hungry, you know? And I was like, oh yeah, shit, I forgot. I've got to, we eat to stay alive. That's a thing.
have a family.
thought I just had to do this. But no, yeah, I don't know. I'm so
okay,
interested
so
in
tell me
what
the
other
rest of
people-
yours. So you've got like, you said like you want to feel like you're in the club, but is that like hip hop or like actual club music or
like I'll listen to Frank like a lot, like DJ,
Oh,
like
yeah.
our DJ friend.
Our
Like
boy,
I need like
DJ Love?
I need to like feel like I want to dance. Like I need to be like I want to like move. Like I want to be like in it. Like instead of like dancing, I'm designing. You know, but like I want to. It's got to be so turned all the way up loud to where like
Yeah.
I can hear nothing except music and happy and dance and whatever. Like that's how I work.
Did you ever use your stand-up desk that way to kind of like move a little bit?
See, that screws it for me. I can't
rage on the stand-up
design standing up. I can't. I've tried a lot and I can't. I literally need to be like laying down like this with
Oh,
the worst
dude.
posture ever. Yeah, to be
We're
working.
so the opposite.
Yeah.
I literally hunch over and put my face into the screen, even if I've got like a giant screen and there's no reason at all that I need to like get any closer. I'm just like a habit or something. Like when I start designing, my face
You're
is
like, get in it.
Yeah. My wife's been like, do you need to just pull the screen? I mean, like, or no, I don't know. She's like, can you zoom in or something? I don't know. But no, it's like,
She thinks you need glasses.
Yeah.
Like you're having trouble
probably.
seeing. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, even like we asked like last week, you know, like what people's favorite artist was, and like Audrey had commented in like some artists, and I started looking them up, and I was like, they're badass. I've never heard of them. I don't know who any of them were, but they did awesome work, right? And it's like it's stuff like this. It's like
you said artist. I didn't know what you're talking about.
I bet somebody else like has these cool little hacks that actually would probably work for me. You know,
Yeah.
Or like you were talking
Now
about.
my biggest hack is just the focus button, because man, between the phone, Slack, email, notifications murder me. So if I
100%.
don't just do that simple, which is pretty simple now,
Which
just
actually I
silence
don't think I
everything.
did.
But using that, if I don't use that, I know I'm not getting anything done. But so back to the 40 hours, because we really went off topic there. But we talked about
No, we didn't.
So
No, we didn't. Because part of that 40 hours a week is
getting into
basically
the zone.
saying, it's basically saying, do you want someone to clock in 9 to 5, or do you want someone that can just get in the zone
shit done.
and get shit done?
okay, so why I love this topic is once so my previous company, when we first started, you know, we were really small. We everybody, well, it started with like the core group, which, you know, you've been a part of, you know, that where it's like, yep, we all just work all the time because we have to make this shit happen, or we're gonna, you know, we're all gonna be looking for jobs or whatever. But then once you get to a point where you're growing a team and now people are coming on board that are like employees, then there's a couple of, you know, trains of thought. In the beginning for us, we had very much just hours don't matter. Now, there were people that took advantage of that sometimes and would be like, well, okay, I'm leaving. And you're like, dude, you've been here 2 hours. Like, let's just how fast I am. You're like, yeah, okay. But then we had a thing where it was kind of like Google's 20% thing or whatever. It wasn't quite like that. It was more like a 10%. It was like basically on Friday, if you have everything you need to have done on your client work, you could spend the rest of the day collaborating. And we had this labs program, and everybody loved it. You know, there's always some people that kind of, you know, maybe took advantage of it or whatever, but for the most part, people were like, great. And they would strive to like get their shit done. And at a certain point when we got really big and we started to become like corporate, it was the clients that we would work with. We also went through some scenarios that kind of forced us into like tracking hours. And it was like a huge debate. I mean, not a huge debate. Everyone hated it. I mean, I hated it too. And we don't need to get into all of that. I mean, there was definitely some reasons we needed to. I don't think we figured out a good way not to. But then what happened was basically, you know, people felt, you know, like they had to be sitting at their desk, like to clock hours or whatever. And that's kind of what the client expected, which was a really shitty way to like, you know, kind of enforce work or whatever. But I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that? Like, I know you have. I don't know if you've ever had to like do that.
What's to it? Your situation's different, right? Because it's an agency is different when you're billing hours to clients, right? Like it makes sense. You got to track hours and you got to bill and you got what's billable and what's not, right? But
Tracking hours is shitty.
It's so shitty. Actually, like so. To me, it comes down to trust. Right. And I know that's
100%.
really, really fucking hard when you're dealing with client work and like they just like it's all about the output and they think it's old and corporate and it's 9 to 5 and all that. But I've had jobs that weren't agency, that were product, that it's just people. This is like before remote was a thing, that like just didn't trust people. like so much that like I finally convinced them to let me work from home. This is when I was in Hawaii. They were on a different island than I wanted to be on, where all my friends were, and like, so I finally convinced them to let me work from where I wanted to be on Oahu. And the deal was that I had to have a camera like this pointing at me.
Oh my God.
At all times from 9 to 5.
Dude,
And it
that's
had
crazy.
to, like, it was like I was on camera sitting there, like being watched. And that was the only thing that made them feel comfortable, right? Like,
oh my God.
like to know that I was doing work was if I was sitting at my desk.
Yeah.
And that's not the first time too. Like actually my very first job in Hawaii ever, dude, this is so fucked up, but this is where I met my really good friend Amber. So I got hired to build a dating site, right? I was used to work at Match. They wanted to build a Hawaii only dating site. I'm like, well, I'm your man. Like, this is perfect. And so I built a team, you know. Actually, Julio came out there to work with us. He was the front end side. We hired a back end guy. Like, we had this like hardcore
You got your whole
little
homie crew.
startup crew, right? And then they hired this guy Chester, older guy, right? And so it's like, this is my desk. His desk is right here, and his desk
God.
faces me. And I'd be like,
How
"Oh,
shitty.
I'm like, hey, Chester, what's up? What's your role? What do you do?" He goes, "I worked in restaurants. I make sure people get their work done." And I'm like,
What the fuck?
I'm like, all right, cool. So his job was to literally sit there and watch me.
everyone?
No, he watched me. Everybody else was over there in like an office. He literally was there watching me. And
Dude,
like,
that's so
I'd
fucked
be
up.
like, oh, let me send, you know, Steve a message real quick on AIM. This is how old it was, you know, and he'd be like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm sending
my
a
God,
friend of
dude.
mine a message. What are you doing? He's like, well, we need to make sure this work gets done. I'm like, cool. Thanks. It will. Like that kind of like non-trust and like,
Get out of my ass.
yeah, like that's the,
So
I feel like that was the beginning though. And that has made me as a manager go, like we talked about this before, where I'm just like, I don't ever want to be that way. I am going to give you all of my trust 100% when I hire you. And it's on
Yeah.
you to keep it. If you fuck up,
Totally.
I start to lose trust in you. And when that trust gets down low, maybe this isn't going to work anymore. But I'm going to give you
Right.
everything first. Like that's how it's going to work for me.
I'm with you. So at one of my previous office spaces, the thing where he was sitting behind you, like I couldn't have anybody sitting behind me because I had like, you know, sensitive information up
Yeah.
or whatever. But I also didn't want to sit behind everybody because I didn't want anybody to feel like that.
But you're the
I don't think anybody
hovering art
really felt
director.
like that anyway, but I just didn't want that to be a thing. And so I ended up putting my desk on the other end and facing everybody's faces. So everyone had total privacy. I mean, maybe not from each other, I guess, but not from me, the boss guy or whatever. But what was funny is I got all these comments where the people, my designers never, I don't think anybody thought it was weird on the design team or whatever, but I would have people come through and be like, wow, what are you, like the professor? Are you their teacher? Because it was basically like my desk and all the students facing me.
You're like
I
up
was
on
like-
a pedestal.
And then when I looked at it, I was like, it does kind of look like that, but that's it's not the reason.
Well,
But
you saw our old office. Our CEO literally had a nest above us. That was just his loft that he looked down on all of us, you know. So no, I get it. But no, I don't know. It's like I'm always so grateful because I've had some amazing bosses too, where someone is like, I know you're a badass. Here is what I need. When can you get it done? And if I
Yeah.
say Thursday, then it'll be done Thursday. And they're like, awesome. And
So that's
they don't
exactly
trust,
the way-
you know?
that's the way it should work. And one of the things that we did that I really liked was basically work weeks. It's like not tracking hours, but it's like each week we would commit to getting something done. And then like you had to get it done, or if you didn't, you had to be able to explain it. And that's okay because, as design goes, you may go down the wrong path and realize it and be like, fuck, I got to redo a bunch of stuff. And you don't always hit a deadline. But you have to be able to explain why and what the plan is to get course correct. I think that's great. I think I'm kind of thinking this through, but like, even like a work day, it's like, hey, what do you plan? And actually, yeah, that totally works. I mean, not everyone has to work, wouldn't work for everybody, but like, I've done like the true morning sprints every morning where it's like a true sprint. I'm talking like 10 or 15 minutes, not some stupid hour-long meeting, but it's just like, hey, what are you working on today? It's like, hey, this is what I got going on. This is what I got going on. And then you touch base the next morning and you're like, hey, so I got this done yesterday. I had a little bit of trouble with this. So I'm going to finish this up and try to get through this. And when you see that happening, one, you're kind of saying like, here's what I'm going to work on. And if all you said was like, I'm going to send out one email today, people would be like, what else? So, I mean, you're kind of like laying out like something that has to be publicly reasonable within your team of people. And then you fucking work on it and make progress and show progress.
But even those I hate. Like, and this is just me. Like, I hate the stand-up.
Well, I don't love it. I like the weekly for sure.
It feels so micromanaged, like to be like, here's exactly what I did yesterday, and now I'll tell you what I'm going to do today, and then I'll tell you what I'm going to do tomorrow. Yeah. You know what I mean? We like at where I'm at.
I don't disagree.
We do weekly sprints, and so it's Wednesday to Wednesday. So it's like you got a week. What'd you do this week? Like that. It feels like all that gets away, and I can give you. Here's the goals for the week. Let's talk about it on Wednesday. Oh, cool. What happened? Why didn't you get that done? Oh, cool. You knocked that out plus more stuff. Fuck yeah, you're awesome. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, but the everyday thing, because we used to do that at a bunch of other places too, and it always felt like, God, I'm just being watched, but I'm just being watched now verbally instead of like on video.
Well, that definitely makes a difference depending on like what the team makeup is. So I totally understand that. I agree. I think the weekly makes a lot more sense because then on the day where you're like, either you just feel shitty and you're just like, I mean, I had a team that I did that with, we would do it per project or whatever. So I had like a team and they're like, yeah, yesterday I felt like shit. I didn't get a lot done, but I'm going to, I'm still planning on getting this and this done by the end of the week. So sometimes like that kind of depends on team makeup. I totally agree with you though. A weekly touch point was great because then like there's a day where sometimes you just need a fucking break. And that you're behind. So guess what? You're going to fucking work on the weekend or you're going to work late a couple nights to catch up. And as long as by next Wednesday, you're at least in a good situation, then cool. Everybody's cool. And if you haven't made it there, you kind of have to just explain yourself.
Yeah. No, I mean,
and figure out what the plan is to catch back up.
Well, and like, I feel like the theme of our episodes is Ray says something and then he says something completely hypocritical to what he just said.
I love it.
But it's different. Cause like I talk to my team every day, right?
Yeah.
But we don't catch up. Like, did you get done what you said you were going to get done yesterday? We just talk every day. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's an alternative to the stand-up meeting every day, because if they're having an issue with something or they need help, because we're just communicating, they'd be like, oh, hey, can you help me with this real quick?
Design development, everything?
No, just my design team. Like
okay. So I agree.
We just
that's a little bit of
we're
a
just on a
difference.
call, we're hanging out, we're just like, hey, what'd y'all do last night? What'd you eat? And like if something work-wise comes up and like they need something, or hey, oh, I meant to tell you guys, I had a call this morning with blah, like this is crazy important now, so let's rearrange that stuff. All right, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's more just like us bullshitting and like having back to that whole trust thing. It's like we just like, it's how I think you build trust. It's like you just talk to people.
Yeah. So I don't think I've ever done just a design team daily stand up. It's usually those are more like when there's like development or whatever. And, but I'm with you. I think the weekly is the way to go, but
I've never done weekly until this place. And I don't think I'd ever go back because you can waste a lot of time at 2 weeks. Like you could like go totally the wrong direction.
You used to do 2 weeks?
Yeah, every other place I've ever been that did sprints did 2 weeks. I feel like it's just typical like the standard. Sprints. And I feel like especially, I mean, probably.
Oh, so you actually do 1 week sprints?
We
Like, I
do
was
1
thinking
week
you just
sprints.
met and like
No, we do
2
1
week
week
sprints
sprints.
is like very normal, but even meeting like with a touch point between those sprints, I think is like
No, we do.
still good.
Like tasks are all based around 1 week of what.
Oh yeah, because
because
you're an internal team. The reason that the reason I haven't seen success with that before is because it's like with clients. So having a weekly sprint with
we
a
do
client,
with clients too,
really? No.
and international. It sucks. We have really early meetings because they're in Europe. But no, like even our sprint reviews on that Wednesday.
So you're doing weekly demos, like full on demos? Huh? Wow.
Or at least
long do those take?
at least updates.
Yeah.
So we do it's 2 hour blocks. So we do an hour for review, and then an hour for planning.
Okay.
So, but what's actually worked really well and been kind of nice, even from the client side, is the client's like part of our team.
Yeah.
Like
Makes a
they're
huge
every
difference.
week they're there, and like they saw what happened last week. They know about the blockers. They know who to talk to about this. They're part of the whole thing. So it's not just like, hey client, here's
Yeah.
our demo of what we got done. It's like, hey team, here's all of the pieces that happened in the week, all the things that
Right.
went wrong, all
And
the
they're
things
playing
we
a
got,
role as well.
and they're part of it. And they're like, hey, I'll take that one. I'll go talk to this person to get you what you need to get that thing done. You know what I mean? Versus like,
What a huge difference.
It's an
Yeah.
extension versus like a demo. You know?
Yeah. Okay. Totally. So yeah, that I can see totally working, because that's almost like what I was thinking with like the internal team meeting once a week. What I was thinking that I haven't, felt like worked very well was when you're doing it with that client who's like absent, and then you're doing like a full on demo and they're like, this is all you've gotten done. You're like, literally 4 days ago, bro. Like, and there's a lot here. Like,
no.
what are you not seeing?
No, I'm with you. And not to say like it's perfect or by any means or anything like that. We haven't had those types of situations, especially when someone isn't there. That is like a key piece that needs to be there. But I don't know. I'd still say from the majority of the time, it's worked really well. But the big reason though is back to what we were talking about with like the getting shit done is like a big part of getting shit done is doing shit correctly, because you could waste a lot of time doing it wrong and then having to double the amount of time you did to like actually fix it. Right. And so doing things in like this weekly block makes it to where you can't fuck up too far. Right. Like you can always steer back. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I feel like that's one of those things where I talk about, like, it's like, I feel like I did that wrong, like my whole career, until now. And like, now it's like kind of figured it out where it's like a good touch point.
Yeah. It's like the ultimate extreme version of that is what gets talked about all the time. Like, we don't go off, and present something at the end of this project, but I mean, people used to do that where it was like, great, you hired us. We'll see you in 3 months or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you go present something and they're like,
What is this garbage?
Yeah. Well, so this actually, another topic we had on here that I think this like segues perfectly into is a friend of ours was mentioning on a shared Slack channel that we have about being asked to share work when they're not ready. And I thought this would be perfect for some of the newer designers. I got to figure out, I don't like saying younger designers, newer designer. I don't know. Designers earlier in their career that haven't gone through some of these scenarios, the noobs. So and basically this friend of ours was saying, good thing I've got this like design lead that basically tells this other individual that keeps basically demanding to see stuff early when they've already, promised later dates. He's like, nope. I'm like, dude, it's good you have somebody like that on your team. Because that can be hard. That can be hard for people that don't know how to say no, and they're being asked to see what they're working on. You're like, well, I have to show them. I work with them, and they're senior to me. And I thought this would be like, it could be a brief topic, but I thought it would at least be good to discuss, because my feelings on it are that like you have to stand up and like say no, but there's a right and wrong way to do that. Obviously, I mean, you can't be a dick and just be like, no, I'm not showing you, or get, not combative, but you can't be defensive even really. What you need to do is explain, and kind of like you said it earlier, it's like, hey, there's a process to this. It's not ready to show. So if I show you now, you're going to give me feedback that's not relevant. We're going to waste time. Probably even the way I said that, there's probably a nicer tone to it. But like, those are the key points you need to have in your head when you push back against that.
But it's one of those things. It's like, I mean, I don't know. I'm a dick, so I'll just am blunt and just say no.
I've heard the way you say no.
Yeah, I'll just be like, I don't know. I'm an asshole. But
you're like, the way you sound is like, well, if you weren't a total fucking idiot, you would understand. That's the way it sounds.
But because it's more of like, hey, remember that meeting we were just in 2 days ago where we said we had a week to get things done? Yeah. So
right.
I'll see you on Wednesday, kind of thing. But
yeah,
I don't know. I think it's, yes, 100%. I think it's like saying no is really fucking the most important thing in the world. And it's not even for people that are new. It's for people that are nice. And we've talked about this a lot. Like, I feel like we are the type of people, even though I'm a dick, that always try to like make people happy.
Please.
Yeah. Like we want people to be happy. And if that's going to make you happy, then here's work that is half done that you're going to shit on because it's half done.
Right.
Right. And it's like, you don't realize that you're doing yourself and them a disservice.
Totally.
By showing something that is going to like create an emotion for this person and for you. And they're both going to be negative, right? Like,
totally.
And so now like they just shit on it. And now you got to go back and you're like, well, is all the shit? Do I need to start over? Like you've just screwed your whole flow.
The thing is, what you're showing them, you already know, like you wouldn't really consider it shit, but now you're showing. So you're presenting something basically. And like if that's what you're showing, then it's kind of shit. Like, yes, there's a phase I have to go through where all this looks like shit until it starts to come together to the point where I'm ready to present it. Yeah.
There is an interesting approach to that too that we did recently, where we had, like a prototype that's hooked to our Sketch Cloud. And so as we made updates, the prototype was updated in real time. Excuse me.
Nice.
Sorry. So like, whoever was managing it or whatever, even the clients that were like building stuff for, when they were curious where we were, they'd just open it up and be like, here's where things are. You click around. Oh, I can't get there yet. They must not have got that part done yet. And so it actually went really well. It would bring up questions for the next meeting, but they would like hold them all in. And then the first thing that we would say is like, have you guys looked at the latest though, before we go into like the questions? And they'd be like, sometimes they'd be like, oh no, we haven't. We didn't know it was updated. Be like, yeah, it's updating.
So you
all
guys
the time.
kind of train them, because the other version of that, this is the one area I've seen Figma cause tension between teams and clients.
I know where you're going. Go ahead.
You invite them in to see your Figma file, and then they have access to it, and you're in there working or whatever, and they're like, I don't like what you're doing. You're like, I'm not ready for you to give me any feedback.
So that's the one major thing, is you have to disable comments on everything. It doesn't stop them from reaching out directly.
Right.
But when there's comments available on there, like I remember like in InVision and everything, or we can like just click on it and be like add comments everywhere. And I think you can do it with the Sketch prototype too, probably Figma.
Yeah.
But like that is just asking for trouble. Like, anytime they were like, oh, well, this alignment seems off, and is that the font you're going to use? Like, no. Like, on Wednesday, we're going to talk about all this. We
would actually,
together.
Or not we, but my team that was doing the design work would actually end up, I probably told them to do this, which put a note in there, large red, and said, do not comment until this date or whatever. And then if they started commenting, which they would sometimes, you'd be like, oh, when did you put that comment in? And they're like, or basically, no, what we would say is like, they're like, oh, did you have a chance to review the comments? You're like, nope, today's the day we go through all that. And I think we probably did the same. It was like, have you reviewed today's? They're like, oh no, let me check it out. Okay, cool. That may have resolved any comments that you put in before today
Yep.
or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it definitely like opens up a huge can of worms.
It does. I mean, I don't think there is a euphoric perfection of the way to do it when you're dealing with somebody else's personal preferences and the client and even like your own. Like that's kind of the big part of like the whole thing that we would do with them, and the reason that we would disable comments and things like that, because sometimes requirements are written in a way that once we actually start designing it, need to be changed or needed to be added on. And be like, that was a really good idea about this thing, but as we were putting it together, we realized that it would add way more value if we also did this, this, and this with it. And that wasn't part of what you're looking at. So when you're looking at this and you're seeing it, you're looking at it from that perspective. And now I need to like present it to you so that I can explain.
That's a huge piece of it,
right?
Presenting, explaining, and articulating the thought behind the decisions you made versus, I mean, there's a part of it where, and you have to get it to a certain point when you have this like really robust clickable prototype where you're like, okay, I should be able to like be a little bit hands off or not like have to explain everything. There's value in that. But as you're going through like the pieces and you're building the building blocks, I mean, your ability to explain what you're thinking is going to allow you to kind of continue down the right path because they could look at something and be like, yeah, I don't like this. You're like, you don't even know how it works. Like, because it's not functional yet. It's just you're just seeing basically a sketch, a high fidelity sketch of something. Oh,
I'm with you.
well, yeah.
Just get shit done.
Well, just get shit done. That's what I'm talking about. Just get shit done. You know, set a time, stick to the time, present it, explain yourself, be open to feedback. Yeah.
And say no.
Yeah, and say no all the time. Well, cool, man. Let's jump on. We're we got really deep there. We're at like 50 minutes.
Yeah. No, I just looked at the time just now to be like, I was like, damn, okay, shit. I guess that's what we're talking about. All right.
Well, one thing, so this might be interesting to do weekly. We'll see. But I did see this great tweet yesterday. I've been back on Twitter, man. We'll maybe talk about that a little bit later. But I did see this tweet, and as usual, I'm going to butcher a name, but this guy, Jihad Afone.
I just want to see the name.
His Twitter handle
so I can
is
see how bad you said it.
JA.
No, that's the way I would have said it.
Jihad
Jihad Afone.
Did you hear how I kind of overpronounced it?
Afone.
Afone. But he had a really cool tweet. Basically, it says, your job as a manager isn't just to build products. Your job is to build teams and lift others, your team, your peers, the overall culture. If your only response to attrition in recruiting, if your only response to attrition is recruiting, you're not building a team to innovate. You're simply staffing for today's problems. I was like, yeah, dude. Kind of wish I had tweeted that.
No, it's
I like these sometimes. Like, what I get tired of is like when somebody's Twitter is only this kind of stuff all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all right, cool, you're amazing. What's that called?
Or you
is that
just
like
want
virtue
everybody to tell
signaling?
you you're amazing. Right?
Yeah,
like
totally.
all the time. Yeah.
And I haven't looked at this guy's whole profile, but I liked it, retweeted it.
No. Like we talk
tweet of the
about
week.
that. We talk about that all the time. Where it's like we do dumb stuff like sweatshirts and hats and stuff like for fun, right? And like I feel like my team gets to be like at the top of all the things. So we're like, all right, guys, what's something we could do to just make everybody happy? Let's just make somebody's day. And, like we did dumb stuff. We'd be like, hey, like make Zoom backgrounds for everybody in the company that are like, you tell us the things you like and we're going to make the most random thing about it. Like with pizza flying behind you with like saxophones and, and like random stuff like that everybody wanted and everyone loved it.
We did a killer one. We, basically this one guy, he had put work into his office. And so it looked nice. and he walked off to use the bathroom. He was like, guys, I'll be right back. So somebody took a screenshot and then we all shared it. And so we all changed our background to his room. It was pretty funny.
No, we do it all the time.
but-
Like even like our CTO, he did the whole thing where it's like he made videos of him coming in or like looking up from his desk, even though he was sitting there. But there'd be like all these other vans, like like walking around, like
Dude, that's awesome.
like no, it's like people think that all these things are little and dumb.
Dude,
But like they're the
so important.
things that like everyone at that company remember and tell their friends about, and like it makes them smile versus like, did you get your
Dude,
work
it's those
done?
little things. Fuck yeah. It's those little things that actually make you want to fucking go into work and hang
Yeah.
with your people. Like if all I'm doing is coming in so you can use me as a tool for your company, I mean, that's like, I know it. Like it's very obvious. Like, yeah, I'm just here for the company to make money. And now obviously like you're there because you make money as well. But this can be a mutual a mutual sort of value of like let's allow ourselves to have fun. Let's allow ourselves to grow. Let's allow ourselves to like banter and get to know each other. I always would tell people when I was kind of making job offers, like, man, it's my job to like, we've put a lot of time and energy into creating what we believe is like a really great culture, which obviously everyone knows that word gets overused, but like I believe we could create like a really great culture. And I would say, you know what? Like, it's my job to keep you wanting to work here. It's like, if at a certain point you want to leave, like I said, I would say like, hey, I don't know. I can't remember exactly how I would get into these conversations. I would have it a lot though. So I probably should remember what that conversation was like, but it was like, hey, if you ever, if you're ever considering going somewhere else, talk to me first, like be open to it. In fact, when I would see people have a different mood, I would just say, hey, you're not about to quit, are you? Or whatever. I probably was doing a lot of un-HR friendly things. There was this one really good, good friend, young designer. And this was back when when my desk faced everybody else's. And so I could see her face and like, I was like, dude, she looks kind of depressed. And she would come in, work and sit at her desk, just work, and then get up at the end of the day and leave. I was like, but I really liked her and she did great work. And I was like, I'm worried she's about to bounce. Like she doesn't seem happy. And so she didn't report directly to me. So I talked with her manager. I was like, dude, you need to make sure things are cool. Like, I feel like she's about to quit or something. And so he met with her and he's like, no, dude, she's good. And I wasn't buying it because I just watched her and I was like, she looks depressed. And so finally I took her to lunch and I was like, and she seemed fine at lunch or whatever. It wasn't like the whole time she's depressed, but I was like, so how's everything going? She was like, oh, it's good. And I was like, hey, we're friends, right? And she was like, yeah, I guess. I was like, okay, so like, if you ever just quit and I had no idea it was coming, I'd be really like, I'd be really upset. Something like that. Mm-hmm. I hope hopefully that didn't sound creepy. But anyway, and she was like, okay. And I was like, well, I just have to tell you, like, I've seen you and you kind of look a little upset. You don't look super happy. And I want to make sure that there's not anything that you need that you're not getting here. And she was like, oh, dude, I'm in the finals of getting my master's degree. She was like, life fucking sucks right now. And I was like, oh, okay, well, cool. Let me know whatever you need and I won't bother you. But we laughed, but no. So, I guess my point was like, when you're building a team, like you can't just expect, there used to be that, like, you would hear people say or whatever, like, oh, you should be lucky. You should be, you should feel lucky to have a job. You're like, fuck you. Mm-hmm. Like, there's jobs everywhere. And especially now for designers, like, dude, like, man, you can't find
Yeah, you
people
can't
that
find
aren't
anybody.
already like, don't already have something great, making a lot of money. It's like, nah, bro, you have to convince me. Like, what's going to be, why should I come join you? You should be lucky to have me.
No, so we do this for our onboarding for new employees. You know, we all do these presentations, like every group. And one of my slides, it just has like all these like bears jumping around, hugging each other. And it just says that we're a family. Because I think there's two different ways to build teams, right? And as far as like companies and things go. And it's like, one, you're an employee, you're a number, right? And the other is you're a family. And for me specifically, in every place I've ever tried to build a team, which is why I hope people stay in touch with me, and like sometimes they followed me, and like, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
we want to know, what's your dog's name? What's your kids' names? Like, what do you do when you're not here? What video games you play? You know, like, I want to care about you, and I want you to care about me, you know? And
Right.
like, that to me is the reason that like you want to go to work. Like, it's
Yeah.
not just a cool office. It's not like I get to work on cool stuff. It's like the people that are there are your family. They care about you and like want you to be awesome and like want to do everything
Right.
they can to help you, you know? And no, I mean, the same kind of thing happens. It's like even people that like aren't in my department like want to talk to me and like tell me something's not going well. What do they think of that they should do?
Oh, you're that guy at your
Oh yeah,
company?
I'm that guy.
I was that guy too.
Yeah. No, I'm that guy.
Like,
and,
I can go talk
where
to
people
Steve.
are like, what the hell? Well, I didn't know that. I'm like, well, no, I mean, maybe that's why. Like, maybe because I'm not directly part of that group, if it's more comfortable to talk to me or something, or I don't know, but I'm that guy, and I love that I'm that guy. Like, I want people to like be open to talk about whatever with me, because they know, at least I feel like they know now, I'm not gonna bullshit you. I'm gonna fucking be
Yeah.
blunt as fuck about
It's definitely an important.
whatever. It actually just happened last night. Like somebody, like, we're in reviews right now, and someone that's not anywhere near my group texted me and was like, is this too mean to write in a review? Should I not put something like this? Like, I was like, do you feel that way? Because like, I was like, we are a family, and like, that person is not going to know how you feel, and nothing is going to change unless you're just honest and just say it.
Right.
And so just, if that's how you feel, hit send. And then
Totally.
wrote me today and said everything went great. He's so glad, you know, like, so.
Well, for the most part, people want to know if they're not perceived in a positive light. I mean, it doesn't always feel good, but if everybody thinks I'm a piece of shit, I mean, that may sound extreme, but like, I would like to know it so that I can correct it. Because if you just tell me things are great, then great. I'm going to do exactly what I do right now because things are great.
yeah.
Yeah, the other thing, like, being direct is good, because there are times when, you know, so say somebody is underperforming or whatever, you don't want to hurt their feelings. So you're like, well, you know, yeah, you're doing really good. You know, maybe there's a few things or whatever. You start beating around the bush, and it's going to fly right over their heads. They're going to hear the things they want to hear, which are, things are pretty good. Maybe there's some stuff you can work on or whatever. When your whole point is you want them to recognize that thing that you said you could work on. Being direct and saying, and you have to, I mean, I think it comes with experience or with, you know, time or whatever. It's not always easy to be direct and not sound like a dick. And sometimes you just have to like push send, like you said. But it's a huge waste of time. Wow. Pardon
Cough
me.
it up.
It's a huge waste of time if you're just beating around the bush a bunch, because what that'll turn into is that conversation happening multiple times before you're finally direct, before they're finally fed up because you keep bringing it up. You know, I think there's a way to approach it and be like, hey, can I catch up with you? Like, are you open to a little bit of feedback or anything like that? And just say, here's the thing. And just like be direct.
I mean,
Here's what
do you call it?
isn't working or whatever.
I think the the shit sandwich approach works really well for me in that whole thing, but it not in a way of like, let me just talk about some fluff. It's like, I love you, like you're like my friend, you're my family, but I want to be honest with you and tell you that there's some stuff that I wish was better. And you tell them, and then you're like, but I know I'm not worried because I know you'll take care of this stuff. It's not a big deal. I think it just fell off, but it's really important that we have this conversation, because if not, it could keep falling off, and that's not good for anybody, So I think it's like, that's part of having that rapport and being in that family and feeling comfortable, not just saying it, but taking it. And if you feel differently, then that's it too. Like you should say it.
It's a good point.
You should be like, well, I hear what you're saying, but I was like that because you also had me doing X, Y, and Z. And how do you expect me to do both? And that person should be like, it's a great point. I'll do better.
Sometimes you're right.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you're like, oh yeah, shit, sorry, I did ask you to do all this other stuff or whatever.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. But it's just like, if the conversation never happens, then neither side gets what they want,
Yeah.
And
communication, man.
Yeah.
It's the most important thing, and everybody sucks at it.
Oh yeah.
You have to actually really try.
It's crazy.
And I think the other thing is there's self-awareness, but then there's also being open. You have to be really open to the feedback. I've, you and I've managed people for a long time now. And from time to time, there's people that want to think that they're open to criticism and that they're open-minded, or that they're even like self-aware, when they're totally not. And it just doesn't allow you to grow. Like, being able to take that criticism, even if you don't entirely agree, what you have to understand is it is a data point. Somebody thinks that way, and that you need to open yourself to the potential that that's actually a thing that you might want to look into and work on. And if you don't, you're not going to grow.
Well, and I want to be clear here too. Like, I'm sensitive still. Like, I say that to people. I need your feedback. I need to know, but I'm still an emotional person, and it's going to hurt a little bit.
But you still want to know, right?
Exactly. That's my point. This isn't a, everybody's happy, we all talk shit to each other, you suck, now get better. It's like, I just want to be honest with you. It's going to hurt you. I want you to be honest with me. It's going to hurt me. And then we both get better together. You know what I mean? Like, I'm saying that like, cause I've been doing this, you've been doing this forever, and it still hurts, but it needs to happen.
But it does need to happen because you want to know, but you're also open to it, and you're open to considering that feedback and making changes, or like at least evaluating kind of what that feedback is and understanding it and deciphering whether it's something that you should make changes.
Well, I just think it's the only way to grow, right? It's
100%.
Like, so I think that if anybody's having trouble with dealing with feedback or dealing with, people talking about their work and revisions and all that kind of stuff, like the biggest thing, the way to look at it is like, unless I do this, I'm not going to grow, and you can stay in that box.
I would maybe not say unless I do this, but unless I'm open to this and open to considering it, because just because somebody has feedback about
you're taking you're taking it the specific. I'm being more generic. Not do the thing that I'm telling you that was wrong. I'm saying unless you're open to taking the criticism and having that conversation and being honest. See, I even did the focus thing. It doesn't work, but
garbage.
Even if it's like the only way to grow is to be open to have the conversation, right?
Yep.
And if you're not, then you're not going to grow. That's what I was saying.
We'll see you in the same role later on.
Yeah, I'll be here.
Well, hey, dude, think that's the pod, man. I think this was a great episode, dude. I think we got into some good stuff that I think will be interesting to people. And man, I hope some people will leave us some comments. We've had a couple of great commenters that we're gonna have to send out. We're gonna have to create a commenters award.
Yeah, this episode was deep. I feel like it was.
So do I.
It's all about emotions and our feelings.
Lots of emotion.
But I don't know. I'd be interested to see, because a lot of times we have like a very specific theme of what we're going to talk about with these so far, and this one is more just like a chat between us about managing and growing and just kind of company type.
It was
stuff.
all relevant to.
Totally.
Yeah, I think it was all relevant. So
100%. It's just interesting. I'm curious.
I think it was at least our second best episode so far. I don't know.
Maybe everyone else is gonna be like, "This episode sucks. Throw it in the trash."
Yeah, this is the second worst episode. Well, thanks everyone. We'll let you get out of here. We know we're over an hour. Hey, we've learned that we have to tell you to smash that subscribe button, press the like button, help us grow, give us feedback, give us how perfect.
Yes.
Give us that shitty feedback.
Yes.
Like help us. We want to grow. We want to be awesome.
Oh, but we're doing an experiment though. Hold on. If you can, please, because we're trying to like learn the algorithm. Favorite this, or like what is it called? Like save to, like save this, because I'm trying to see
bookmark it or save it.
YouTube has a different term for it. I think it's like save to or save for later or something like that. But favoriting, I feel like is probably something that's weighted really high. So if you don't mind, save it, favorite it, whatever, so I can see if this actually boosts the rankings of stuff, because we've actually been growing pretty significantly.
Dude, almost 3,000 views on the last video. What in the heck?
Sheesh.
Oh, we're at 3,000 now.
Views? Or
yeah, people are watching while we're recording.
Well, there you go. I need to dig into the stats.
Thanks everybody. Keep
we hit 300 subscribers too.
300 subscribers. Man, thanks gang. We love it. We love you guys. We hope you're getting some value out of this content, some entertainment. Yeah, stick with this, man. We hope you enjoy it. I'm probably going to cut that part out. That sucked.
No, leave it. Leave all of the stupid things you say.
All right. Done. All right. Until next time, I'm Stephen Ray.
Ray Hernandez. Later.
All right. Deuces.